Hello everyone and welcome to day 7 of 365 Live. First of all, I can't actually believe it's been 7 days since I've been going live here, and thank you so much for anyone who has joined me, whether that's live or on replay. I appreciate every single of you. So for today, I was literally just sitting down, just like what wants to come through, and then there was like a whole lot that wanted to come through. I was like, I'll be literally here for an hour if I tell that whole story, absolutely everything. So I then dived in a little bit deeper of actually what wants to come forward for today. And I guess this is my own initiation into motherhood. And this is something that we don't, I feel like these days we don't really talk about much, especially on, if you're like more like the spiritual realm, like maybe, but if you are so like a normal mum like I was, you don't really hear the initiation into motherhood. It's you hear a lot about giving birth and your plan and all of that. And if you, I can't actually remember which life it was, in one of them this week, I actually touched upon that neither my pregnancy nor my actual birth was anything like I imagined or wanted it necessarily to be, which is fine, because like now looking back, it's fine, because it was my own like initiation into motherhood. But I think what is really coming through, and has been coming through for a few days now, is like after you give birth as a woman, like you've had this human being inside of you for 9 months, like as I said on a previous life, like literally hijacking like absolutely your life force. Essentially, it's taking like everything that it needs to grow, which is what we're designed to do. And then you like give birth to this human being, you start looking after it, and it's just like, to me it was like the biggest shock. I'm just like, what do I do with this? And she didn't sleep at all. She only wanted to sleep on us, which number one, no one told us about, and we were just like, what is going on? We can't sleep. Like, and then I guess you start going into a rhythm, like looking after your child, just surviving. That's very much what it was for me. I was just like surviving. And then I remember like when I got my like first period back afterwards, after giving birth, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, I was bleeding so much, and I lost more blood than after giving birth. And like being in that situation, like being in that moment, and I was trying to remember back at what point that was, because I tried to breastfeed, but it didn't happen. And I know that it came back quicker than I wanted it to happen, like my period. But she must have been at least 6 months old, because I remember we had to move our bedroom around for the next to me crib, and we moved it back. So I remember being on the other side. So she must have been at least 6 months old when that happened. But I was literally in like sleeping, and I could feel like all of the blood essentially gushing out. And it was just, as I said, there was so much, and there was more than after I gave birth. And I was literally just like, what? Like there was part of it almost like, am I dying? What is going on? Why am I losing so much blood? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's not something that anyone has ever told me. And understand that's like completely different for everyone else. But with this initiation into motherhood and like these thresholds that we've just not being taught these days anymore. And now looking back, I know exactly what this was. By being in this moment and being in the moment, I'm just like, God, I literally had the maternity pads and I just had to change them constantly because there was just so much. And I know that I've spoken to someone about it. I don't think it was a doctor. It doesn't matter who I spoke to, but and I'm just like, what, like it was such a shock to my system. And obviously losing that much blood as well, it's just was affecting me on like a physical level as well. And like now looking back, like this was like almost like the physical manifestation of this motherhood threshold. And it was my body's way just to release anything and everything, like literally, which is why there was so much blood, that just didn't serve me anymore. So all of the like worries, fears, stories that I've been telling myself, that I've been told during pregnancy, birth, afterwards, even before I was pregnant, all of that, like my body was just like, nope, we just let go of all of this. And stepping into this threshold of motherhood. Now, if you go by like sort of the energetic threshold of motherhood, that would have happened in my 20s. But to be honest, like, because we're not these days, we're not really taught any thresholds. So again, with me, like now looking back, like the first threshold for going into my maiden, yeah, I honored that for myself, that's fine. And then after that, until I had that physical manifestation of my motherhood threshold, those, what's that, 20 something years, I want to say, yeah, 25 years ish, I was just going on autopilot, just doing whatever, not really listening in towards me. So the energetic threshold of going into motherhood in my 20s, I've not noticed whatsoever, because at that point as well, I was on the pill and I was on the mini pill, so I had no cycle whatsoever. So, and this is like one of the reasons why, like, when it actually came to like the physical manifestation, like my body was just like, okay, so you've carried this child 9 months, you know, you looked after her, you're starting to find like your rhythm, you're not scared anymore, just that, you know, that she's freaking gonna die. So now it's time for your physical body and like the physical manifestation of this threshold to actually come. And my body literally released everything. And it's, as I said, it's just because there was so much blood, I was like, what, like really, what is this? And not knowing about any of the things that I know now, where it's just like the womb holds everything, and all of the stories of our fears, expectations, conditioning, absolutely all of it. But I also know now that we can release all of it with womb work, with our cycles, and our bodies are like really, really, really intelligent. They know what to do. Again, I wish I would have known that earlier. But you do the best with what you know and the resources that you have. So it's, the body just knows. So my body clearly knew like 6-ish months in, after giving birth, like it's now time to like really, for you to step into your mother era, your that physical threshold, like really passing that, letting go. It's like almost like a clean slate. And obviously, you know, not being taught any of this, it's just like, what's on, what's going on, just, and I'm just almost like going back into the rhythm that, or like almost like the autopilot kind of thing in motherhood, where it's just like, look after the child, don't look after yourself. But with my cycles coming back and like my own rhythms, I had to really start coming back to me and just really start looking after myself. And there's actually, I'm going to do a separate one because it's going to be like too much back and forth, but I will do a separate live on how I actually got into womb healing and like the work that I do and stuff. But with these, like, that crossing that physical threshold has really broken me open, and it was the first really threshold that I was like really aware as an adult. As I say, like looking back, like the first threshold, becoming a maiden, I know I honored that because I was so in tune with me. All of the other, not that there are that many, not so much. Whereas now, with the next threshold going into perimenopause, I know energetically I crossed that threshold last year. I can't tell you how I know, because I still have a like really regular cycle. That's the word I was trying to say. I have a really regular cycle. Everything I can, like, we plan our holidays around that, and that hasn't changed. But energetically, I know I crossed that threshold into perimenopause, and because I'm so aware of it, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm really like embracing this journey and all of the changes. Whereas with like my like crossing into energetically into like motherhood or into like the mother era, I couldn't really do that because I wasn't aware enough at all. And like this is all to like say, if you've crossed over any of the thresholds and you haven't, you might also hear my crying child in the background. You've not, if you cross over like 3 thresholds, which we do during the course of our lives, and you haven't really, in your eyes, like acknowledged it or honored it or whatever, that is fine. But that is work that you can do now, like working with your womb, working with what you've got, and just like honor it now. You can do like little rituals, like depending on where you are. So if that is something like that you want to explore, just put a comment below, and I can suggest some things that you can do just to honor those different thresholds. Because as I say, like this is not something that we are ever really been taught. At least I've not been taught. And when you then get the physical passing like the threshold physically, the same as with menopause, I guess, there can be such like a shock, just like what's going on, like what have I done wrong, why am I behaving like this, why is this happening? Whereas like, you know, if you're aware of it, you're going to be embracing it a little bit more, and you know what's going on. But this is also something that can be worked with for the fact after. So if you're like sitting here just like, oh yeah, number one, like light bulb moment right there. Number two, oh, I wish I would have honored that threshold, with the passing of the threshold. That's fine. You can still do that. It is never too late with like honoring any of those and doing any of those things. I think for the moment that is it. I might just have to see what my child is doing upstairs. Don't worry, she's not alone. My husband is with her. She doesn't particularly like him giving her a bath, so she's crying for me. So I'll go upstairs, and I will see you tomorrow.